Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, trainers everywhere, welcome to the greatest Pokemon Scarlet Violet podcast on the face of this earth. Joseph, I feel like we can say that. I don't even know if there's another Pokemon Scarlet podcast, but
yeah, I think that's accurate. You know, I'm cool to back that up. You have my approval on that one, Zach.
Perfect. And hopefully we're going to mess with your approval of us because today we are ranking all 10 Pokemon games on Nintendo Switch. We are going to battle it out and try and come up with one official Scarlet Fever ranking order for the games. There's 10 of them, which I think surprised both of us. We were like, there's Snap.
I think a perfect number, first off, but also, to think there was 10, good for Pokemon Company.
Already. And we're not even saying let's go Eevee and Pikachu. That's one. We're not saying that's two. Mm-hmm. That's one.
Yeah.
Joseph's going to give us a little update on some leaks that we talked about from last week. And then also, I have something interesting that I want to talk about. And you all can let me know in the comments if you have had issues with this or how you feel about it. Thank you, by the way, for your support, for your watches, for your likes, for your comments. We are excited to eventually get this onto other platforms and continue for the next 6 months, all the way until November and beyond. But if you may notice, I've worn this shirt before. This is my go-to Pokemon shirt. I feel like there's not a lot of...
That's a really dope shirt, actually.
Thank you. I feel like there's not a lot of great Pokemon merch. Like, there's a lot of Pokemon merch, but it's very standard. Like, it's like, okay, have a Pikachu on the shirt. And I want a little more stylish Pokemon. So I've been hunting for Pokemon shirts to wear, and I've come up really empty-handed. There hasn't been a lot of good stuff. There's this one collab with this streetwear company called Market that I like some of their stuff, but the shirts are like $200 on Grailed, so I was like, okay, that's not it. But I do have a mini haul for us today because I went to Box Lunch to pick up a Marvel shirt, and I was surprised. They had some Pokemon stuff that is not on their website. I double-checked, and some of these are pretty good. All right, so the first one I want to show you is this with all the starters on it, but it's like nice because it's like outlines, right? It's not like super... I just feel like there's a lot of childish Pokemon
there's not
merch.
too much color going around. For sure.
Really nice. It's got the little typings right there. Eventually, we'll get some Fuecoco and some Sprigatito on the bottom. So that one's pretty cool. Nice, soft, long sleeve. And then this is my favorite find here. Check this out. Primary colors are in style right now, and that is looking pretty dope.
Oh, wow. And this is all at Box Lunch?
Yeah, at Box Lunch. So sponsored by... No, it's not sponsored. I wish it was. That'd be a cool sponsorship. But no, it's...
I mean, hey... There's reason to sponsor us now. Apparently, they have all the Pokemon merch.
They currently have a buy one get one 50% off. So I got those for a really good price. They're really soft, and I didn't have to spend $200 on Grailed, so that worked out really nicely. Go to Box Lunch, and now Joseph for the Riddler coup update of the week. Are you related to him?
Yeah.
Is he your Nintendo uncle?
I am him. Believe it or not,
dude.
That's the big reveal. Thank you. You heard it here first.
People are like, why did I get this Joseph guy to do the podcast here? And it's because he is Riddler Coup.
Yeah, there you go, guys. Sorry. It only took 3 episodes for that reveal. But no, I have no idea how I even found him, to be quite honest. But yeah, so in regards to his Twitter, which if you guys follow him, I highly recommend if you are interested in this stuff. He posts these very cryptic tweets, but he does sometimes just outright tell us things. So I believe he is now going to start talking about trainers or gym leaders specifically. We already have a couple hints out there of a couple of them. And I mean, he's even photoshopping some pictures of what they kind of look like, because that's something he does a lot, is these weird photoshopped pictures of just things that are relevant. So I guess that confirms gym leaders. So at the very least, we know that is something that is being carried over, which is always fun because gym leaders, I feel like, are some of the best driving forces of Pokemon, because they're always these wacky characters with cool Pokemon. Yeah. And there's some interesting stuff being leaked for it that may suggest that these gym leaders are a little bit cooler. I've been seeing some theories that we may have multi-type gym leaders, meaning, one person will have fire and ground. Okay. So that would be very cool, but I guess we'll just have to see. So yeah, if you guys are interested in following that in real time, go follow him, or follow Centro, who isn't private and also just kind of
Joseph.
Condenses all.
Don't follow any of these people. Wait for next week when we update you on what's happening on the Scarlet Fever podcast episode 4. That is what you do.
This is the only place to get that information. Do not go on Twitter at all. And definitely don't look up Pokemon leaks.
I think keep
it here with us.
There's 2 great things about that. One, the character designs that we've seen for the professors are great. So if that carries over to gym leaders, we could have some fan favorite characters on our hands, which is always welcome.
Yeah.
And then the multi-type thing is interesting because that could play into sort of the go anywhere idea of the game. If it's less ordered, then maybe it does help with some of the, we were talking about like how do you balance the difficulty, how do you make it the progression? Maybe that is a way to sort of, make things a little more, hey, like it is fire and fighting, so it's not like, oh, I'm going to go there, first, or like the order is more nebulous.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, just in general, especially design-wise, because, coming from the artistic side of it, like, that is so much more interesting than, like, these monotypes, which 9 gens in, we're gonna start hitting brick walls soon.
Yeah.
But I'm also really interested because the art style is so different. It's so much more studio, like, Ghibli-looking now, that I'm excited to see if that transfers to the character design, because so far, everybody looks good, but they look a little more grounded. As opposed to like other characters, especially coming off of Legends Arceus, where the art style was a little bit more, at least with the newer characters, it looks a little bit more cartoony. So getting this more, I don't want to say realistic because it's not that, but this more kind of toned down anime look.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what they do. I think it's going to be really cool. And if these new Pokemon and the professors are anything to go off of, I think we're going to have a pretty cool cast of characters. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this in particular a lot.
Good stuff. And if you're a super sleuth out there, Joseph said fire and ground, and then he said the characters are grounded. So leaking some ground type reveal, maybe.
Hey, come here on episode 4 when we don't follow that up.
Whoa! Quick temperature check. I feel like my temperature right now is, I have a huge fever. I feel like this week in particular, I'm really, really wanting more on this game. And part of it is like, there was a big Fire Emblem leak, and no slight to Fire Emblem fans, but if that's going to be a big holiday game for Nintendo, like my need for Pokemon goes up even more, because I'm not going to play too much Fire Emblem, I don't think. And then Pokemon just takes an even bigger spot. And so right now I'm burning up. My fever is really high. Send help.
Yeah, no, I definitely think I'm approaching dangerous levels with this fever as well. I think it's just like that trailer, not the initial, but the second one was just so much to chew on that, like, I mean, we have a whole podcast going off of essentially just that right now. And it's like, we need more. Like, It's coming soon, so I know we're going to get more, but man, anything.
It's like
throw out another Pokemon design.
It's like a nebulous relationship where like you're unsure if they like you or not, and like so you're just so captivated because we don't know all the details. We're tantalized. Like, look at this beautiful gas station. Look at these cool starters. Look at the professors. But we don't like. Is it really love, or are we just being blinded? We aren't sure. So hopefully we find out about that. But we do know a lot more about these 10 games already on Switch. Pokemon is the most plentiful franchise on the system, and there are a lot of games. So we are going to go through 10 to 1 and try to wrestle out a ranking. Feel free to share your rankings in the comments. I'm sure there's going to be some disagreements. I'm sure there's going to be some hurt feelings, but it's all fun and games. And I feel like we can agree on 10. I feel like we can agree.
Yeah,
you agree? You think we can?
Yeah.
I
think we can. I don't know. I don't want to tiptoe around it because it's a hard 10 for me. Like, it's 10 stuck. I don't think it was even close to 9, but I know that there's a market for some, someone likes it out there. I want to be respectful.
As much as I love the idea of chefed up Goldeen, Pokemon Cafe Remix is going to be our number 10.
It has to be.
They did remix it, and they improved that. The art style is very cute, but it pales in comparison gameplay-wise, I think, to the rest, and it's the most it deviates from the Pokemon formula, I think, the most.
Yeah, definitely. Like, if there's anything to say, there's nothing quite like it on the Switch. Also, it is one of those Pokemon / mobile games. So, you know, I mean, if you play it on the phone, I can see the appeal.
Yeah.
But to me, it's just really cute artwork, and I played it for a couple of minutes, and I was like, this isn't it. It's not
for us.
It's not really what I want. But I do see that there's, you know, a market somewhere out there for it. But I do hope Remits is, you know, a one-time thing. They can keep updating.
Did you ever play?
I don't know that I want a Remits too.
Okay, so I have this such nostalgia for this era when, you know, I was young, but I wasn't too young. So I had some like money. I mowed some lawns, but still every game purchase was like super serious. Like it was like, okay, like this is it for like a while. And I remember seeing Pokemon Troise come out, and I was like, dude, puzzle games aren't really my thing, but it's Pokemon. It looks kind of good. I read some good reviews, and I took the leap. I don't know if I regretted it so much, but it wasn't my favorite, but it was an interesting idea. I like it better than Cafe Remix.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I feel like Troze was a real cult hit, though. Like, I completely remember that era. Like, you're so right. I feel like everyone spoke super highly about it.
Yeah.
And that was at the time where the Pokemon spin-offs were, like, low-key all, like, bangers.
Yeah.
Like, I remember being obsessed with Pokemon Pinball,
yes.
the Game Boy Advance version, the Ruby
yes.
and Sapphire one. I've never even liked pinball. Like,
yeah, me
ever.
neither. Yeah.
And that really, I was like, wow, this format is awesome. So, you know, I'm glad that they try things like this, but it has to be number 10. There's no way around it, unfortunately.
Pokemon Pinball, like, of all the stuff that I want on GBA, if it comes in Nintendo Switch Online, like, more than the mainline games, that's the one that I'd love to have on my Switch.
I agree. And I think in the leak for it, wasn't it one of the names?
It's on there.
In the file. So I mean, I completely agree with you. I think even more than the main series games. And that's really sad because, like, you know, I love Pokemon, but that game needs to be ported to something relevant.
Yeah.
And if we have that on the Switch, wow. I think that was such a good sleeper hit too. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, number 9. You can throw out where you're going. I feel like we're going to agree on this as well, but hit me.
So number 9, I think is another sort of easy pick, but only because of another choice on here, and so that would be Pokemon Quest for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Which it's another one of those. I'm pretty sure it was just if I remember correctly, and I'm almost positive I do with this one. It is the first Pokemon Switch game. They put this on the same day they announced Let's Go. Pikachu and Eevee, and I think this was just kind of the holdover. It was free to play. You could pay to, you know, progress faster, but I remember very vividly that this was the first time seeing Pokemon on a Switch, and at the time it was a pretty fun experience. It's definitely very, very different from mainline Pokemon. Not so different from things like Pokemon Rumble or even Mystery Dungeon. It's kind of similar to this really like Diablo-esque type of game, but it's like 2 buttons. I don't know. It wasn't bad, but again, when looking at the list in front of us, it's just kind of, it's hard not to just put this in 9th place.
Well, one thing I will say is, like, it is impressive when you look at this list, the art style variety they've had, and something like Super Mario doesn't ever get that. I mean, I know there's Paper Mario, so that's one, but I would love other franchises to sort of capitalize on this idea that, hey, we can have 10 Mario games, but we could have, you know, 5 different art styles. I think it's really fun. If you look at Cafe Remix, Quest, and, you know, where I'm going next will be another dramatically different art style. I don't know about you, but so it's pretty nifty. So we can talk about 8, where I think we'll probably differ for the first time.
I think this might be
because my 8.
So what's your 8?
Yeah, my 8 would be Mystery Dungeon DX.
Okay, so yes, my 8 is a little bit different. So this is when the fun begins. For me, I did pick something with a dramatic art style change, but one that I think a lot of people argue with me about, and that's, I put Pokemon New Snap.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry.
But only because though, I think from a video game standpoint, this is the Pokemon Snap is like the best put together. Like at least up, you know, very, very towards the top in terms of like production value, catered experience. It really felt like I was playing the game exactly how it was intended to be played. There was no moments that like took me out. There was nothing that like really rubbed me the wrong way. Animations were beautiful. The gameplay is fun. It's basically a puzzle rail shooter. Like, that's awesome. I guess the only thing holding it back for me is number one, the length. I felt like, I mean, there's only so much they can do with it. But also, like, I guess there was a moment where I realized I was just kind of going into the same maps over and over again. And I have a problem, like, committing to one thing.
Yeah.
So I find myself, like, trying to get all the pictures in one run, which is not possible. Like, you have to, a lot of these things take multiple playthroughs to even find.
Right.
So it just made me feel like I was doing a lot of rinse and repeat, which I know is the draw. Like, I loved playing Pokemon Snap when I was younger, but I do think gameplay wise, I prefer something a little bit more action oriented, which again is a personal preference. And I do think you can speak me up to placing this way higher, because I know it's a fantastic game.
I see what you're saying. I think like the couple things for me that stand out are, one, like a very surprising but appreciated sequel, something that we weren't sure if they would ever go back to this. Sort of the more monetizable Pokemon games make sense, and some later on the list like Pokemon Unite makes sense. This one I think was kind of a wild card from Nintendo, which is always nifty to see. I do agree with you about sort of the nature of playing it and feeling like, I can't get it all done, replaying the levels. I will say, though, that graphically, I think that alone has to help elevate it a bit, because like you said, the production value is huge. It looks fantastic. And at the time, on the heels of Sword and Shield, which did not look all that great, I was like, man, this is what Pokemon needs to look like on the Switch. This is what you can do with the power of the Switch. So yeah. That really, elevated it in my eyes. Is it the like best Pokemon game? No, but I personally just think that it needs to be higher because it's not a remake. It's different than the rest of the class on here, and they did like. I don't think it had the biggest budget, but it felt in what was there. It felt bigger budget because, like you said, of those production values, everything was a coherent, nice experience. And I think it built on the original Snap in a pretty good way. We were talking off air about the DLC. Neither of us really got in the DLC, but I do know the DLC just added even more interesting ideas and sort of the tiny island idea. It's a really pretty game. So just let your eyes glaze over and move it up.
Like I said, I think I could definitely be talked to moving it up. I was strictly thinking like gameplay wise, which again, it still holds up perfectly. For some reason, Pokemon Snap was just such a solid idea, the original, that it's almost shocking that it didn't get like its own franchise spin-off. Just because there is like there's something so exciting about like going out and taking pictures of these Pokemon in their habitat that could be evolved so much further. So, I hope this game coming out also leads to, maybe them doing more things in this vein.
Animal Crossing Snap.
Bandai Namco made it, I'm pretty sure. Animal Crossing Snap would be... They should have had a photo mode where you're running around with it. Anyway. Okay, so I will concede on this. I do think maybe it should be higher. Just off of... Because it is the first time I feel like a lot of these Pokemon are real, like fully realized. Like, they're alive. They, you really feel like you're entering a Pokemon-ridden world, which is like, what the franchise should be in the first place. So
exactly.
Pokemon Mystery Dungeon at number 8, though. Okay, it is a remake of not only an old game, but the oldest Mystery Dungeon game at that. So mechanically not the best. Also, they did remove a lot of... So, like, I loved the original Mystery Dungeon. Fun little anecdote, I guess. I asked my mom when I was younger to get me the new Pokemon game, which I believe at the time was coming up to be Diamond and Pearl. But Mystery Dungeon Red and Blue came out a little bit before then.
Oh, no.
And she got me Mystery Dungeon Red, which was a Game Boy Advance game. Because at the time, they did Blue as a DS game and Red as the Game Boy Advance game, which was a very
really?
terrible... Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my
And
gosh.
it's the dumbest marketing thing I've ever seen. It's like the same exact game, just one doesn't have the second screen.
That's so weird.
It wasn't like a graphical thing. There was no difference to the story. Really, it was just, I don't know. I mean, I guess from their standpoint, it was pretty smart because that's around like 2005, 2006.
Yeah.
So the DS might not have been the heavy hitter yet. So, Pokemon Company and Game Freak never want to jump that. Like they're like, we do good on this system.
What if
What
if that's what they do for the Switch Pro? They're like, surprise, Scarlet is on the Switch and Violet is on the Switch Pro.
What's crazy is I wouldn't be surprised. I'm Future and Prehistoric. We got this. We figured it out again.
But yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Wow.
You see, Game Freak, hire us, please. We're good.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
But yeah. Some next level stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I learned to like the game a lot. I think Mystery Dungeon as a format is a really interesting thing. Pokemon did not invent it. Mystery Dungeon is a very well-known genre.
Right.
But something about it was just really fun back then. So a lot of my excitement for it on the Switch came from this childhood game that I literally logged over 400 hours on as a kid.
Ooh.
Yeah, I used to every car ride, me waiting for my karate class to start.
Man, you're so lucky.
I was playing that thing.
Since I was little, I couldn't read in the car. It makes me so sick.
Yeah, if it's any consolation, I can't do it now.
Okay.
I get sick looking at my phone for like a
Vindication
second at the time. So yeah, I got what's coming to me. Don't worry, Zach.
Do you have another game you wanna pitch for 8? Or to me, it's like I don't know what else goes there. The only other one I would say is like Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl.
I will agree with Mystery Dungeon at 8.
Okay.
I put it really high up, but I'm also 100% admitting it is strictly because of my history with the game.
Right.
If they did a Sky remake, Mystery Dungeon, what was that? The like director's cut version of Time and Darkness. If they did that, I really, really genuinely think that could scrape the top 3.
Oh.
Because that's.
Or what about a new Mystery Dungeon?
I'd be scared just because they did a lot of like. They made it more of a baby game, which I hate people saying. Mm-hmm. Genuinely, I really hate people referring to Pokemon as that because like it is a kid's franchise, but for some reason they removed such like normal things. Like, okay, one thing that really peeved me about the remake, and this is something that like, oh man, now that there's a platform to talk about this on, I'm so glad.
Finally, here we go.
Honestly,
I've been waiting.
I'm about to make this my number 9 because I hated that they did this so much. So in Mystery Dungeon, the whole point is you play as whatever, starter Pokemon you get sent as.
Right.
Like, you take the little personality quiz, you become it, right? Very cute. Now, what I love about the game is that you have your 4 Pokemon moves. So just like the mainline game, you can teach your Pokemon up to 4 moves. But there was always a default like tackle move that you had. Mm-hmm. It didn't waste any of your energy and it wasted a turn. So this was really important because sometimes the placement of like enemy would be like, if you take a step forward, you're going to get hit next turn.
Right.
So it was always good to just throw out that tackle and then they move towards you. So like, you know what I mean? Like it's like chess almost. You want them in the optimal spot for you to do your attack. But in the remake, they removed that like tackle. You can't just press A to do like a default attack. You have to do like one of the special attacks. I do believe there was a way to work around it. Like there was like a turn wait or something. But like losing that default A button attack was just so weird to me. It made no sense. It did not make the game any better. It made it actually like run really worse. Like the way I would play it as a kid was not even possible to play in the remake. And it was just a very strange decision. So
that is weird.
I'm just afraid that they would, I'm afraid that they're going to keep building this
that way.
Very different mechanic. Yeah. So,
okay.
But yeah, I'm good with that at 8, actually.
So we'll go 8 is Mystery Dungeon. And then 7, what do you have at 7?
7, I'm really between Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, and Pokken. Pokken is like probably it's in the same place for me as Pokemon New Snap, where I know it's just a solid game.
Yeah, like
for what it is, it does it so well. Also, is that also Bandai Namco?
Yes.
Or am I?
Yeah.
Why do they make? They make such good Pokemon games.
They know what's up, and that game is.
They need to do it, man. Yeah,
that is better than it has any right to be. Pokken Tournament,
so much better.
Yeah,
and they pick Pokemon that like don't even make sense. Like Aegislash for the DLC for Switch. That's a sword. How did they make a whole?
I forgot that it got like DLC just for the Switch version.
Yeah,
that is so cool.
The Switch version came. And it was like, it wasn't just like tacked on. It was incredible, like DLC. Like
we need a sequel.
Very, very inspired. We do. We 100% need Pokken 2. But yeah, I had it here just because personally for me, I didn't play a lot of it, but I 100% understand if this is somebody's like top 2. Like it's such a solid game.
I really like it.
Yeah, it's really good. Like even as a fighting game, the mechanic, how there's like long range fighting and close range, crazy.
And they found a way to like uniquely capture the Pokemon fighting system in real time, which I think is very special. And if you look at a lot of other licensed fighting games, like I remember when I was younger, always running like the Dragon Ball Z fighters and things of that sort. Like I think this game, the new Dragon Ball Heroes is a very good game, but older games like Pokken at the time stands out as like, wow, they took an IP and they made a fighter really, really solid and really unique, and it feels different, and it captures the essence of the IP, the franchise, and yeah, bringing it to Switch, yes, it is a port, but one great Wii U game that didn't get nearly enough love, and then like you said, the DLC that they added on, I really, really like this one. I've been kind of I crush your Mystery Dungeon dream. So if you want to put it here, I'll let you. But I would love this to get a little more shine.
I think we can push it further. So with that being said, I think my penultimate choice for this one would be, unfortunately, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl.
Yeah.
Which is really upsetting because when that game dropped or was announced, despite the chibi art style, I genuinely was more hyped for it than Arceus, because in my head, Diamond and Pearl, Platinum specifically, was such a good Pokemon game that literally having a 1-to-1 remake with Platinum specifically would have been incredible. I loved the idea of it looking like overworld-wise, looking like the old games, but kind of HD. But then when you're in the battles, it's the full like 3D scale, Pokemon following you.
Yeah. Like
everything. And I will say initially it looked really rough, but I think I could actually tell you the moment I got hyped for it. It was when they dropped the OLED trailer for the OLED Switch. Seeing Buizel come up and like the grass was, this is so stupid. I'm like really like, this is how crazy I am.
We love you for
it. The first reveal trailer.
Yeah.
The first reveal trailer for the game, the grass was so gross looking.
Right,
they
fixed it. Dark. Yeah, I remember.
They fixed it so it became pastel. It was so much more Pokemon, and I was like, I'm so hyped for this. And then it's the exact opposite of what I said about New Snap, where it felt like I was seeing behind the curtain a lot. There was a lot of like, I would get into a wild battle. There'd be like a 2-second delay for the animation. And it's just like,
what's going on?
This feels...
It's the B team, right? Like janky. it's made by an offshoot studio. No slight to them. I know they're probably training to make. Maybe they're training to work on Pokken 2. So maybe this is a blessing in disguise. I don't know.
Maybe.
But yeah, I think it's fair to put it there. To me, it almost feels weird that they did push that game when they did, knowing that they had Arceus and knowing that they had Scarlet and Violet within 12 months. I don't know. To me, it just feels like much more of a gap filler than. I don't know. But we'll put Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl at 7. Here is where it starts to get really, really tough, because I think people's perception on these individual games is going to vary. Like, at this point, I think anything that could go at 6 could be someone's 1. Like, honestly, I think any of these could be from 6 to 1. And I'm not saying this goes here, but what is your read on Sword and Shield? Like, how are you feeling about Sword and Shield?
That's rough. Sword and Shield, obviously we're talking post DLC, is an okay game. It's an okay game, but it also rubs me the same way Diamond and Pearl do. In the sense of there was a moment where it just doesn't feel like I'm seeing the game that I should be seeing. It's a great Pokemon game, and I think anybody would be lucky to have it as their first. I really genuinely think it holds up as a Pokemon game. But even when we were looking at the trailers not too long ago, it's an ugly game.
It is,
for all intents and purposes, compared to any other on this list. Even very it's
a strange artistic choice. I think they were clearly trying to just continue the handheld games, and it just didn't pan out.
Well, it was supposed to be a 3DS game, so it's not like even the test footage when they had the little, I don't know if you ever saw it, but they had a little map. It was a Rotom map. They were really trying to push the 3DS. And you look at Sun and Moon, that's probably the best looking, one of the best looking games on the 3DS.
Yeah.
It does not look like it should play at all. And it's crazy to look at X and Y and Sun and Moon and just see the graphical jump on the same hardware. It's crazy. However, even upscaling Sun and Moon to 1080p, that's not what you need to do. And I think that's why with with Scarlet and Violet, we're seeing this art style change, because now it's and it's funny too, because it's really telling that the art styles, it looks more like New Snap than it does any other Pokemon
That's
game.
A good point.
So I do think they're finally hey, we're on a console, let's not make these 3DS games. So that's kind of how Sword and Shield felt for me. I wasn't a big fan of and this may be a hot take, but I wasn't a big fan of the Dynamax and Gigantamax feature. I thought the Gigantamaxes looked cool, but as a feature, it just felt I don't know, it felt very especially because you could only do it at gyms or places. It wasn't even a mechanic with Megas you can do against a random Pokemon if you want. With Z moves, it was same thing. So I don't know. It's just kind of a whatever game. It was a fun game to play through, but once Scarlet and Violet come out, I don't even think I would really recommend playing Sword and Shield, which is a sad thing to say, but it
does feel like a course correction. It feels like it's rewriting history. This is the Switch Pokemon. This is the mainline, Switch Pokemon. On the other hand, I will say that to Sword and Shield's credit, Arceus and Scarlet and Violet are built off of the wild areas that began there. So that.
Yeah.
And I think that was part of it as well. The initial idea of Wild Area was, to me, so much more exciting than it ended up being. It ended up feeling like this awkward half step, and I think that's sort of the whole game. It's an awkward Switch half step. It's an awkward open world half step. For what it's trying, does it deserve to be higher? I mean, what else would go at 6? What are you lowest on of the rest of the list here?
Man. I guess just like you said, I think it was a really apt way to describe where we're at right now on the list. Every single one of these deserve to be someone's number one. Even Sword and Shield, like you said, I think it is a half step, and I think that's why maybe it rubs everyone the wrong way, because it's the growing pains of being the first ever home console. Like, that's the other thing that people need to remember. This is the first mainline, not an HD remake, Pokemon game that's on the Switch. So in the same way X and Y had a lot of like weird growing pains, but Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire ironed it out, and then Sun and Moon came out. I think we're in the same kind of field, but I personally, like, that's probably my 6. The other ones I'm sure could, we can make arguments, but I almost have more reasons why they shouldn't be number 6 than I do why they should.
I like when we first saw Pokemon Sword and Shield, I just never would have expected this to be the outcome, and it is sort of a bummer. And I guess the good news is that Scarlet and Violet is right around the corner, and that kind of does feel like it is going to be like, hey, this is what we really should have done, and Sword and Shield will become an afterthought. Like, collectively, do you think Sword and Shield is one of the lower appreciated mainline games? Like, yeah. I don't think it deserves to be, genuinely. I think, first off, it's even dumb to think that this game is worse than, say, something like Pokemon Red and Blue. You know what I mean? Like, even the idea to say that is just so wrong. But I think the problem is there was a lot of things hitting at once that really are against Sword and Shield, and I think that's why, for me, it isn't fair to rank it really against the games that are coming up after it, just because also I'm pretty sure it's the earliest of them for the most part in terms of like the ones we're about to speak on. But not all of them. But yeah. Some.
Anyway, it's pretty old now. It's a couple years old. So already, but again, first mainline on a console. There's just everything was going against it. But I would rather play that than, say, original, again, Red or Blue or Gold or Silver. I'm not saying those are bad games, but I think people were expecting a lot because the Switch gave us the best versions of every other franchise, like the best Legend of Zelda for people, the best Mario for people, like, you know what I mean? Like, it was hitting so hard, and then this is something that's like, it was a good game. And I enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoyed it. Yeah,
you played a lot. I just don't feel like it cashed its checks. Like, I think Scarlet Violet, I hope, can cash its, but like, it just doesn't feel like it can. So yeah, so we will cement Sword and Shield at number 6, which feels a little awful, but that's what we'll do.
It feels terrible, yeah.
Here's where I think we got to go with a spin-off. Is this where Snap goes? Is this where Unite goes?
What do you think on those two? Because I feel like I haven't said anything about Unite just yet, but I do want to hear more of your thoughts on Pokemon Snap, because I do think you probably enjoyed it more than I did. Again, not saying I didn't. But.
No, it's just hard because I think Unite is it's a better gamer's game. Like, at the end of the day, Snap is a pretty mundane concept, but it's like the perfect concept for Pokemon. So it's tricky. Like, to me, it's like, for me, playing, like, the actual act of playing God of War is a more fun hands on the controller experience than Pokemon. But is that sort of an unfair comparison? Like, yes, Unite is a more fun to play game, but I feel like the mobile thing just sits in the back of my head, like, Pokemon Snap is like bespoke for the Switch, and it's beautiful, and brought it back. But I do know people. I mean, I'd love to know what you think about Unite, because I know people love Unite. I played a chunk of Unite. I know they continue to support that game, which is great. It has a huge player base. I guess the alternative is we could throw Let's Go in there.
Yeah, that's true. See, that's the thing. It gets so tough at the the front of this list. Pokemon Unite. I mean, I from what you just said, you pretty much nailed it. I think Pokemon Unite is a fun MOBA. There's no way around it. Yeah. Like, they really thought it out. They really made something great. And that's honestly the thing with this list. If there's anything that like really we can take away, number one, Pokemon kind of kills it when it comes to being diverse. I feel like they don't get a lot of Everyone always says, "Oh, it's the same game," but it's like, yeah, the mainline series. Everything else they do is so.
It's kind of eye opening.
I mean,
when you list them all out together.
Yeah. Yeah, truly. I mean, like what you said about the art styles, it's crazy. Seriously, even mainline games, soon we'll have Violet and Scarlet to go off of, and like those games look completely different from Sword and Shield. So it's like even mainline series, they are evolving. But going back to the point, I think Unite is a game that really surprised me. I was very obsessed with it when it first dropped. I always liked the idea of MOBAs, but I guess sitting down for 30 minutes and it's a game, it's a game type where people take it very seriously and it is a commitment. So if you don't take it as seriously, a lot of the times there will be some, infighting. I think that's why people like hate the League of Legends fan base is because like everyone's sitting down to play this game for 40 minutes. You gotta, if you're playing bad, everyone's going to be mad at you. Pokemon Unite is shorter. It's 10-minute matches,
right?
But it's as intense and it ramps up so fast. I think physically you have the evolutions, which give the player kind of a physical representation of leveling up, which is something that, say, something like League of Legends doesn't do or Dota doesn't do. Where if I see a Charizard coming at me and I'm still like, a Squirtle, I know that this person is
in trouble
and is gonna steamroll me. It doesn't even matter the type advantage. This guy is gonna destroy me. So I think that's really cool. I think the way they mixed up the formula of how you have to defeat these minions to get like the Pokeballs and then drop those Pokeballs at the goals to destroy them makes it more you don't have to be good at killing other players. You have to be good at farming and being smart about your resource management. And I think that's really cool. It really found an interesting way to take on the MOBA. It didn't just do League of Legends with Pokemon skins, which I really, really like. But with that being said, Snap, and I knew, this is why I said, like, you're going to talk me out of Snap at number 8, because it is hard to look at that game and not give it higher. Like, it's just such a beautiful game. I mean, it is exactly what it set out to be, and everyone agrees. There's not a single person who's like, this didn't live up to Snap 2.
We have bumped it
it's great.
3 spots, and I don't know if it's fair to consider, but let's also remember that Unite is $0 and Pokemon Snap is $60.
That's true. Yeah.
I think the evolution thing is also huge. Like, maybe it should have been expected, but the fact that they do let you level up, because there's a world where, you pick Charizard, you pick Squirtle, and they're all like sort of equalized and balanced. I think
Pokken did it,
Yeah, I think we might have to go Snap at 5. 1, because of the price, and 2, because we didn't really play the DLC that much, and maybe that's telling.
Yeah, I will say the me not playing the DLC thing is super telling, because I hop on anything Pokemon related for anything. So I do think you're right. Plus, top 5 is not anything.
Yeah, that's so
to
great.
Not be proud of.
So let's go Pokemon, new Pokemon Snap at number 5, and now we have a 4. And I almost feel like, well, do we want to just drop Unite in? Is that like?
I think that's fair.
Okay, so
I think it's fair to drop it here.
So we'll go Pokemon Unite.
Shout out to Unite, man. That is awesome. I do also think the price thing is super important. I know some people may think it's not, but with the rate that Unite is added to, brand new characters, brand new skins,
right?
I mean, it's so much love for that game, and probably because it's making a lot of money, but like it's a really good game. But yeah, top 3. Okay.
PSA, Pokken Tournament Port is a top 3 Pokemon game on Switch. They need a sequel. They have to make a sequel. After we get the Scarlet and Violet Pokedex expansion, boom, they need to hit it. They need to go. And like, to me, that would be a really cool wild card. It's never been rumored. It's not something people predict. It's not, Metroid Prime Remaster. We're hearing about 1-2 Switch 2. Like, this would be cool. It would catch people off guard. And in a way, it would be another fighter, since we know we're not getting a Smash for a long time, to, give something fun on Switch and give shine to some other Pokemon. I
mean, I think Pokken is just such such a solid choice to bring back as a spinoff as well,
Yeah.
because it's so easy to just work off the base of that.
Yeah.
Like, they already have all the characters from Pokken 1. The game already looks dramatically better than anything else that Pokemon really puts out, maybe aside from Snap.
Mm-hmm.
So graphically, it doesn't really have to do too much different. You know, really, them updating it with a couple of Gen 9 Pokemon, I could see that. Maybe a couple of updates to the fighting system, UI upgrade. Like, yeah, it really is such a solid game, and it does deserve top 3 spot. So,
how do we feel about Let's Go? Because I feel like some people think we're stupid for giving this game a top 3 spot.
Yeah, especially for not even talking about it this whole time. But
motion controls.
I think we're.
What are we doing here?
Yeah. Oh man, what are your thoughts on it, Zach? I am interested because, like, I'm coming from a place of, like, clearly I'm a huge Pokemon fan,
right,
just in general. I get whatever schlop they throw at me, but I think I do have kind of interesting takes on this.
Yeah.
But I do want to know from your point of view, because I feel like this is something that maybe you would have enjoyed more than me in terms of, like, pick up and play.
So, 2 things about it. One, we have to remember that when Let's Go came out, a chunk of these games were not even on our radar. You know, there was no Legends Arceus, there was no Sword and Shield, there was no Scarlet, there was no idea that it would be open world, there was nothing. There was no new Pokemon Snap. Graphically, Pokemon was looking a 3DS game. And I guess Pokken Tournament.
Yeah.
I felt at the time that this was the best realization of the Pokemon I knew as a kid. When I watched the cartoon, when I played the card game, this is how it was supposed to look. Pokemon following you. Pokemon in the wild. This is how it was supposed to be. It is to me, a cool remake for Nintendo, who doesn't really do a lot of remakes. It's not a remaster, right? It's a remake. It's a true remake. They didn't just bump the graphics. And there's so much nostalgia for Red and Blue for me as someone that existed before those games came out. And, that's why I got my Game Boy, and that was the game I played. I really enjoyed the nostalgia trip. I really enjoyed the changes. But most of all, I felt like, wow, this is what Pokemon has been waiting to be, and finally has the console, the system to allow it. And is it the best mainline game? Like you said, it's hard to compare Red and Blue to Sword and Shield. But seeing those moments in such a dramatically better visual style, having a little bit of fun with, just like, oh my God, there's a Pokemon out there in the wild. And also timing-wise, I feel like it sort of took the Pokemon Go thing of seeing them in your world, and now, like, oh, they're out in the, like, I don't know, it kind of built on that, and sort of, maybe it's a weird parallel, but it kind of felt like it was like, okay, that going in that direction. So at the time, I was just enamored with mostly the way it looked and made me feel, more than necessarily how it played. It's gyro Pokemon catching. It's simplified. It's basic. But from an experiential standpoint, like, I really did have a lot of fun.
Yeah. With that being said, I do have a follow-up question. Did you get the Pokeball controller?
I did, but just for, like, a video. Like, I didn't really mess with it too much. I just got it.
You didn't use it to play.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
So I did want to know, because I genuinely used it.
Okay. All right.
Pretty much the entire playthrough. Genuinely.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah. I completely agree with you. You actually mirrored exactly how I felt about it, which is interesting, because I wanted to see how someone who doesn't maybe, like, I don't know, take as much outside media in, like, like, I know you play, like, the main games,
sure,
of course, and, like, other games as well, like the spin-offs, but, like, outside media in general, like, I really try to take in everything Pokemon related I can. So
yeah,
I wanted to see if maybe the way I saw it was different, because I completely agree. I'm going to say something that maybe, like, I guess out of context will sound really terrible, but I do think it is the most fully realized Pokemon game on the Switch in terms of what it was. Like, this is Pokemon. It feels cute and fun and cool, and, like, everything it does, it exactly captured what I felt when I was little playing Pokemon Blue on the Game Boy Advance. Or Game Boy Color. Oh my God. Game Boy Advance, I wish. But I mean, well, even then, yeah, like Fire Red and Leaf Green too, like, I do agree. Maybe stop remaking the originals.
Yeah.
We can do Gold and Silver. It's cool. We already got the one remake, so we could do another one. Like, I'm okay with Let's Go, Cyndaquil and Totodile. That's fine. But I guess like the main thing that turned people off about it were obviously the 0 random battles.
Mm-hmm.
There are no wild battles anymore. You level up by capturing Pokemon, which kind of gave you the same incentive that Pokemon Go did, where you want as many of the same Pokemon, because if you chain it, you'll get a better version or a shiny.
Which
they did the same thing.
Let's point out that is a link to Legends Arceus, which is interesting.
Yes, they did. Wow, yeah, I've never even realized that the closest catching mechanic to Legends Arceus is the Ghost series.
Yeah.
Let's Go and Pokemon Go itself. Yeah, the mass capturing, which in a way kind of incentivizes exactly what Pokemon is, and it's this: go out there, get these things, get the best version of this thing, and build your team. There were still battles. Like the only thing that they really removed, I believe, was held items. I remember that being a thing that they didn't have, and I don't think Pokemon had abilities anymore. So I know a lot of people competitively were not very excited, but graphically, I think it's one of the best looking games on this list, because it just, I don't mean like it pushed the Switch to the limits, but I think it looks so nice. It looks exactly how I wish Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl looked, where it kept that kind of Pokemon-esque art style while also showing us what it looks like. And it wasn't a 1-to-1 remake as well. Like, we didn't play as Red, and Blue wasn't our rival. Red, Blue, Green, they were all in the game. Like, this was clearly years after Red already became champion. So even for people who did enjoy the story of those original games, it pays to play this game just to see where those characters end up. We also see like Mina from Sun and Moon, who is she's one of the, one of the, I guess their gym leaders, the trial captains. So it was cool to see like even a link to the most recent game at the time. And yeah, I thought it was just, it captured everything that made Pokemon really good. I think it has, I personally think the Let's Go series has enough reason to exist, where I do think that these could be separate remakes, like separate takes on the mainline games. Like, we can see a Let's Go
Sword and Shield.
Let's go Sword and Shield. Let's do it. Give them their fair chance. But yeah, I completely agree with you. I think it was such a fun game. Would I trade it for the mainline series? No, obviously.
Right.
It doesn't do that much, but man, that was such a good sit down and play. Like, I enjoyed every second of it. And yes, you could literally play that game with one Joy-Con, which is not really a plus, but they saw it as one. So I guess
I think like
there's that.
This also illustrates how much hope lies with Scarlet and Violet, because we don't have a mainline game here, but we're just saying like we prefer the mainline series, but there isn't one in the top. There isn't one in the top what, 6? Top five. So
in the top 6, top 5.
Yeah. So that is, man, Scarlet and Violet. Like, but I guess it's also really exciting because Scarlet and Violet has a chance to immediately be number 1, like immediately.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So,
which I actually, real quick, I do want to have that discussion at the very end of where do we think?
Okay.
Where do we want this to place? Obviously, we want it to place at number 1,
right.
But realistically going forward.
So
these are all good games, man. I really, outside of remits, I really played a lot of these.
Yeah. So
for a fair amount.
I think we should slot Pokken Tournament in at 3.
Yeah.
Okay. So Pokken Tournament 3.
I hate to say it.
And then this just rolls right, real easy. Number 2 then is Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. We'll lock that in. And then, let's at least give some moment to talk about our number 1 Pokemon game on Switch as of June 2022, which is number 1, Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Man, and may I say, this is my favorite Pokemon game to date.
Woo!
I loved this game so much. Are there a lot of things that I know could have been done better? Yes, obviously. Hindsight's 2020. you know, we could always look at a game and be like, well, what are the improvements here? But just the fact that this game, number one, came out of nowhere. They did not need to make this game. You know, they don't need to ever even make the remakes, but they made a remake and this. So it's like already this was something that was just an awesome surprise. But then playing it and seeing a Pokemon that I've never seen before, but felt the most like what we were saying with Let's Go, of, you know, that childhood kind of like wonderment of like, wow, I'm out here, I'm catching these Pokemon, this is fun. This is the first time I was like, oh, I get it. This is like this was the elevator pitch for Pokemon right here.
Yeah.
Like running around, going to these places, finding these locales with Pokemon that are unique to it. Like, it was incredible. I love the story, everything. It's just a great game.
Did you actually see?
It's hard not to put it number one.
Elevator pitch wise, that initially this just came out. It was a recent report that like they initially wanted like something like 60,000 versions of Pokemon, where like every person's game was like slightly different. Did you see this? Let me pull this up.
No, I didn't.
Initially, Pokemon was supposed to have,
that is so interesting,
like 60,000 versions. While I look this up, yes, Legends Arceus is a blessing. It was something that like came out of nowhere and was very successful. I think, like, we can say all the good things. You know, you're physically throwing the dang Pokeballs finally. You're, you know, walking around. The idea of building out your Pokedex and really building the Pokedex is a brilliant mechanical hook. Side quests, open world, you know, the battle system being different but not crappy. Like, they did so much so well. At the same time, I do think there are things that you can look at this and, like you said, in hindsight, be like, man, it's really annoying to load into all these areas. Man, I wish, you know, there was 100%. More than one big town. So I think there are a lot of room for improvement, and that can kind of lead us into our Scarlet Violet discussion. But yeah, like, let's not dismiss that Legends Arceus set a brand new standard. And if we didn't get the announcement of Scarlet and Violet, I think we'd be just sitting here like high on the Pokemon franchise, high on Legends Arceus, and like, man, the future is so bright.
Yeah, I think even the way that we are handling this announcement of Scarlet and Violet hugely has to be, you know, thankful at least for what Arceus did, because again, like we talked about it on the first podcast, but Pokemon doesn't always have the best press surrounding it. When a new game comes out, there's always this air of negativity. Yeah, this is the first time that I seriously don't see anything like. Yeah, it is everyone's rooting for it, and I feel like Arceus was just, especially because Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl were everything but that. It was a real mess for the Pokemon franchise, because they took one of the most beloved generations and just
goofed it a bit,
half-heartedly, you know, brought it. And again, that's no problem. You know, that's not because of the team behind it. It was rushed out. I don't know if you've ever seen the official concept art that the team did for the remake, but it looked more like it was going to be what we're getting with Scarlet and Violet, like these like really beautiful pieces of just like the trainers out in the wild, and it's like, wow, that could have been cool. But also with the remakes, it is important to, you know, stick to. I really do think the like grid-based gameplay is kind of important when remaking at least those older games. Otherwise, it'll just completely lose the feel. But anyway, Arceus is something that I think was such a huge leap forward, because it was a fun game. It wasn't a fun Pokemon game. It was just a fun game. I know a lot of people got bored just kind of running around these open areas, catching the same type of Pokemon. But also, you can't tell me that there was any greater joy than doing a side quest and then going to your hometown, and which, yes, was the only town in the game, unfortunately, but going and seeing it reflect the changes that you've made. Like, if you give the builder a ground type, that ground type is going to be working the fields, and you're going to see it. It's like actually out. You know, if you there was like the person who walks around at night, and she's like the night guard, and she's afraid of the dark. You get her a Zubat, and then the Zubat kind of leads her, and that Zubat will be there all the time. Like that stuff like that made it feel so lived in, and just it made the you know, the actual side quests feel good because every time you come back, there's something new,
notable change
going on in your town, and that was just awesome. So
to follow up on what I was saying, so this is apparently Pokemon Red and Green. The Japanese colors were originally expected to have more than 65,000 versions, and basically it would generate a number, and that number would influence the Pokemon that appeared, the level design, the shape of the forest, etc. And there was going to be over 65,000 combinations. Miyamoto, though, rejected it because he thought that'd be too difficult to implement, so he suggested replacing the numbers with colors. And that is how we went from 60,000 Pokemon to red and green or red and blue. Yeah. Nice little anecdote there.
I'm gonna let Miyamoto rock. He knows a lot more about game design than me, but that does sound crazy. Procedure. So it would have basically been like Minecraft, for Pokemon.
Yeah, the world would have been more
in a sense.
Yeah, which would be interesting. I don't know how that really would work on connectivity or anything, or building the Pokedex, but yeah, it's definitely totally interesting.
Yeah.
It would have set the franchise on a totally different course. Instead, though, we have the course where we get Scarlet and Violet next, and I think that something that this ranking has made very apparent is the building blocks. Like, Pokemon really seems to be like, okay, what if we did open world? What if we did battles? Like, what if we did Pokemon, in real time? Like, so they have these different pieces, and I feel like, and maybe we feel this every time and I'm being naive, but I do feel like Scarlet and Violet might just be like that special one that, okay, 25 years of building this stuff and getting a little piece from here, a little piece from there, and it all comes together.
Yeah. No, I have the same feeling. I do think we've seen enough where, quite literally, someone could take a look at this list and take all the best parts and build the perfect Switch Pokemon game. I think it's not so much that they haven't hit the nail on the head before. It's that I think when getting all the pieces together, they choose the wrong ones. And so we get these games like Sword and Shield, which are good games, but it doesn't feel far enough better from the last game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that's why Sword and Shield kind of fails for a lot of people, is because it is a good game. Like, it is fun. Someone will play that and feel like it was $60, especially, worth it, especially with the DLC, which, I guess makes it like $80. But that does feel like a full experience. But when you compare it to something like Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, it doesn't feel much better. It's just on better hardware. So I think that's kind of the problem. But then you look at something like Arceus and eventually Scarlet and Violet, you're looking at a game that literally cannot exist outside of what it is being made for. This is something that, like, you see that they're building from, a previous idea, and they're trying to kind of expand. So as we say every single podcast, no matter what happens, this game is pushing the franchise forward in ways that we will not be able to see until it comes out. But it's hard not to think this is going to be top 3 off already, just this trailer.
Best graphics, probably. 4-player co-op, which is nothing any of these other games can say. I know Let's Go had a little co-op component, but it's not the same. And then the open world and the non-linear nature, like, to me, if it's not number 1, I'll be disappointed. Like, it is a failure if it's not number 1. Because how can it be lower than Legends Arceus? How can it be lower than Let's Go? How can it, I feel like you were saying, for the evolutionary nature of the game, for where it is, for what ideas it's combining, it has to be number 1. And if it's not, something went catastrophically wrong.
Yeah, like, it would have to have been a broken game for it to not be number 1. Because off of what we've seen already, it already is Legends Arceus, but mainline.
Yeah.
Like, they're basically trading the mobility aspect. And, okay, so, like, for the people who don't like Arceus, the main problem that they don't like is the catching mechanic and the lack of mainline mechanics. Like, it doesn't feel like a Pokemon mainline game, which people like us don't really care about, because if the game feels more fun, then it's more fun. Right. It doesn't need to feel mainline. Right. We're trying to make fun games here. We're not trying to, fit in a box like, okay, turn-based with no changes, check. Like, that should never be looked at as a positive. We always want to push forward. But for the people who love the mainline series, clearly we are getting something closer to that. You know, we're seeing the Pokemon, the rotating camera. It's not a free camera like how it was in Arceus. When you get into a battle, how you could like run around.
Right.
You're not like locked in place. It does look like we're back to being locked in place. So for anybody who loves that type of feeling, like that more, again, curated type of, like, this feels like it's supposed to be happening. Sure, you have that now. But also for the people who love the more open world aspect, and especially the multiplayer aspect, which I think is something that Pokemon has never, ever, ever really tried to dip their toes in, which is something that has always been wanted.
Yeah.
This ability to go on adventures with your friends. It is already just, it's hitting multiple demographics that already exist within the Pokemon fandom. So to me, it just feels like the only way they mess this up completely is by it being a broken game.
Yeah.
Because even if there are no towns, I mean, I know me and you are going to be heartbroken,
right?
Distraught, destroyed even. Which we did kind of prove there's definitely at least two.
Yes.
At the very least.
Yes.
Already
twice as good as Arceus.
Exactly. Hey, you see? And that's our number one, so imagine.
Woo!
But even if that is the case, the game is still going to be fun, because look at something like Legends Arceus, which had one town, which had the Monster Hunter broken up areas, like things that in hindsight are negatives.
Yeah.
But it still made a great game, and apparently the best Pokemon game on Switch. So I do think no matter what happens, we are getting a better version of Sword and Shield and Mercy.
It's past and future, right? It's trying to blend those two. It's really coming together.
Mm-hmm.
I know it sounds like silly and sentimental, but I really feel like this is like their like aha moment. Like 25 years and aha. And so I hope that it is that. Mm-hmm. And gosh darn it, show us what you've got, because the game is out in 5 months and we know very little. But at the same time, we know a lot. And now you know a lot about our top 10. Yell at us, congratulate us, let us know if we change your mind, let us know your ranking in the comments down below. We will be back with Scarlet Fever next weekend. In the meantime, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you for building up this little community with us. And we got some fun stuff planned. I have I'm going to try to get, well, it'll probably be 2 weeks, but I do have a fun giveaway coming up. That'll be cool. I'm going to keep it a surprise from you. I'm going to show you it, and then we'll give it away.
I'm excited.
So we got that coming up. Riddler Coup is ready to unveil an evolution at the end of the month, and it sounds like there's more developments there. And then, who knows? The Direct is supposed to be the 29th. There's a chance that we could get something before, around then, some trailer or treehouse. So we'll have to wait and see. But for now, you know that, Sword and Shield is the 6th best Pokemon game on Nintendo Switch. Let us know how you feel about that in the comments. Have a fantastic day, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. SwitchForce out.